What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Toku Trash Podcast. It's been a while. It's actually been a while since I tried to start recording this podcast. I took a drink of water, had some melatonin, some magnesium right before this, and then it went down the wrong pipe. So it's 11 p.m. right now, and I'm just slowly drifting to sleep while I need to record this podcast, and this is the only time I have to do it. Because I promised you guys an AMA podcast, and you sent in a lot of questions, and predictably, there's some things you guys kind of want to know about, so we're going to talk about them today. I'm going to be as honest as possible. I have thought a lot about some of these questions. I have not thought a lot about some of these other questions, so we're just going to get into it. Obviously, we're going to talk about the absence and everything, the break, what I'm doing now, what I'm doing next, all that good stuff. And then there's a couple other questions that you guys asked about PMC and such. So we're going to talk about all that stuff here on the Toku Trash Podcast. I like having this podcast avenue. It feels like this is where my most intimate audience is, if that makes sense. Like, it's always felt like that. Even when it was like full steam ahead, the Twitch was on, the YouTube was banging and all that stuff. It felt like this was the most intimate audience I had, to where like, sorry, you're going to hear a lot of that during this because, like I said, it went down the wrong pipe. I've always felt like this is the most intimate audience I had because it's literally just me sitting here with a microphone. Sometimes I have a guest on and we talk about their stuff, but when it's just me alone, it's always talking about, you know, my stuff. And so you guys get to know the deep personal details of that, which this one's obviously going to be as well, because we've got some questions about it. So yeah, I think we have like 15 or 20 questions. I'm just going to start going through them. There's some that I'm going to group together. So let's get on it. I asked you guys a week ago to send in some anonymous questions for an Ask Me Anything on the Not Gonna Lie app. I'm posting on Instagram and the YouTube. So first one I have here is, now that Gotchard is over, if you've been keeping up with it, what were your thoughts on the series as a whole? Sadly, or not sadly, depending on how you feel, I'm not very sad about it, but I did not keep up with Gotchard. I fell off right after the Platinum debut, right after we stopped streaming it on Twitch. And I was fine with that because I was not enjoying Gotchard up until that point. I think the most fun I was having with it was watching it with people and like making fun of certain things, or just like collectively rolling our eyes together at certain other things. And I know a lot of people did enjoy it, and that's okay. I would much rather you enjoy something that I don't like than you just not like it because I don't like it. I'd much rather you enjoy all the things in the world. So if you like Gotchard, that's great. I didn't like it, so I stopped watching it. The next question says, will you be doing a Gotchard series review or anything like that? No, I don't always do reviews. I do it every now and then. And I've also done like the last episode review where I've kind of summed up the whole show. I did that for like King Oger. But I think the main thing that I did in the past was like a character tier list. And I like that format because I get to talk about like everyone in this kind of deep, detailed situation, area. I don't know what word I'm looking for. This deep, detailed, stint of time for each of the characters and their stories and everything and their suits and all that stuff. And yes, it kind of boils it down to like this general like A, B, C, D, F tier, or A, B, C, F tier. But I like doing it that way. It helps me like stay on track, if that makes sense. And it feels more entertaining to me while I'm doing it. And I like doing it like on a live stream. But all of that is to say, no, I didn't finish Gotchard, so I'm not going to do that with Gotchard because I don't have the full picture in front of me. Next question. What Kamen Rider in their civilian form could you beat in a fight? I was thinking about this the other day when this popped up, and I like, now after watching the first episode, it couldn't be Gabu. I could not beat Shoma. But the more I think about it, in terms of like main riders, I would beat the shit out of Emu. Not like I would, but I could if it came to it. Like, Emu is going down. Maybe Coda if Coda's like civilian and not a god, but Emu for sure I could beat up. It's just no doubt in my mind. He's a scrawny little doctor. Which shout out to doctors. I don't know. The next one, it says, who's your favorite character from Ultraman, Kamen Rider, and Super Sentai? Ultraman's probably easy. It's Captain Gento. Like, the love I have for Blazar is pretty big. Even though Ultraman Rising like means a lot to me right now, I think Captain Gento like has a special place in my heart. Kamen Rider, I gotta say Banjo from Build. I want to say Sento, but like Banjo just had these deep parts that like hit me really hard, and I think I like him as a character more, like him learning what a Kamen Rider is and how to be a Kamen Rider, and that story like flowing over through the movie, and then him having to learn like about war in real time and everything. I don't think it gets better than that for me in terms of Kamen Rider characters. He's just got so much development throughout the series, and he's such a different person at the end than where he started that I like that. I like seeing the hero's journey. I like going, I said this in my Gabu review today, but I like when characters don't start at 100 and then stay at that for the entire season. I like to watch them rise and watch them fall and then like ultimately rise up, which I think Banjo really did. Super Sentai, my favorite Super Sentai character, it might be recency bias, but like Yanma Gast from King Oger, I think ended up being my favorite in that show. He's cool as shit. He's awesome. And I just like having your own technology empire and everything. So I think that covers all three of them. Next question is, hi, Happy Face. When are you coming back to play Digimon? Terriermon is good deck now. For those of you that don't know, when I was starting the channel, I also was playing the Digimon card game and spent a ridiculous amount of money on the Digimon card game. Like the first 7 or 8 sets, I could easily have spent over $2,000 on like buying booster boxes and stuff. And then when my daughter came, I thought, hey, I don't really have money for this anymore, so I should stop playing. But I met some really great friends while I was playing the game. And it's funny because I had started like, we went to an Angels game a few weeks ago, and they were giving out Lorcana cards. And I was like, oh, I could really get into Lorcana. That would be great. Like, it seems like a fun game and everything. Like, it would be dope to get into it. And then my wife's like, you already have Digimon cards. Just go play Digimon. And I was like, Digimon's like on set 17. I can't just jump back into Digimon. Like, that would be insane. I don't have the cards for that. My friends have offered me cards over and over again. It's super nice of them, but I probably won't be jumping in, even though Terriermon is my favorite. I loved playing Terriermon right when I picked up the deck, or right when I picked up the game, because I think Mega Gargomon was like a meta deck at the time. But I think I'm content playing this like Lorcana against an AI that I found online, like this little fan-made Lorcana against an AI. It's called like inktable.net. So I've been doing that. I've just been importing like meta decks for me and the computer to play, and then we just play against each other. And I'm like, I think I'm content here just doing it on my phone. Next question is, when will you live stream on YouTube? I don't know. I've been thinking about doing the writer recap on YouTube. But overall, the problem with live streaming is that I just live in a 1-bedroom apartment and have a 2-year-old. Like, it just is really hard to get time to do that. And for those of you who like used to watch the streams and stuff, or even watch any of the videos, this whole setup is in like the smack dab middle of my dining room. The kitchen is off to the right-hand side, and the living room is right on the other side. Like, it's an area that's pretty prevalently used in my house, and so people walk back and forth all the time. And so live streaming is just hard to find the time for that. And I've been enjoying the time off from live streaming. I will probably start doing like 1 a month, maybe. I'm thinking about making it probably the writer recap, because I know a lot of people enjoyed those. So if I do go back to live stream on YouTube, it'll probably be the writer recap, and I'll probably have like perks for members to do, to choose spaces on the writer recap and stuff, because that'd be fun. And I think that's the best way to go about it. But in terms of live streaming all the time, that's pretty much a non-starter from now on. What is your favorite Kamen Rider show and Super Sentai and Power Rangers and Ultraman? Starting at the end, we already said Ultraman. Blazar. I think Blazar is a great show. Everybody should watch it. Because they're free on YouTube. They're free on YouTube and they're dubbed. And I think it's just, as I will give Super Eye a love till the end of time for that. Super Sentai, King Oger. King Oger, I think, is almost perfect. It's a masterpiece to me. And I pre-ordered the Memorial Oger Caliber, and it's on its way in November. I'm like waiting. I'm like, all right, 2 more months. Here we go. Power Rangers is Time Force. I absolutely love Power Rangers Time Force. I have been going back slowly, very slowly, and watching Time Ranger because I want to see how Sentai did it in Japan. And I think it's cool, but I feel like nothing's going to replace Time Force for me, especially now. Cosmic Fury is really good. I really like Cosmic Fury, and I thought it had a lot of potential to do more in that format that it had, but Time Force is just pretty unbeatable up there. And then Kamen Rider, if you've listened to me for any amount of time, it's Build. Hashtag watch Build. Build is my favorite Kamen Rider show far and away. There is no question. My first was Drive, so it like switches between Build and Drive sometimes. But I think that it's just Drive because it was my first, and I remember marathoning through it. But the way I felt watching Build both times that I've went back and watched Build is unmatched. Next one says, how has your day been, Hawk? It's funny. Okay, so let me go on a tangent here. I'm reading this today. It is Sunday, sorry. But when I read this first, when I got this message, it was Monday. And so today has been pretty good. I woke up, actually the TV died, so I have to go buy a new TV tomorrow, so that's not great. But we woke up, we had breakfast, we went to a friend's house, went on a walk and everything, and it's been a pretty good day. It's been pretty nice. And then I sat down to record this stuff. But when I read this, the Monday I read this, and it was the Monday after PMC, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I'm in like the biggest Power Ranger convention. Monday night, I'm reading this, and I'm sitting in hospice watching my grandfather die. And he passed away Tuesday morning at like 4:30 in the morning. But it made me laugh when I read this, because I could not think of a worse place to be while being asked this question. And not that the person asking knew or anything, but it made me giggle. I had to be there, not had to be there, but I was there. It was my great grandfather, and my sister is moving across the country, or has moved across the country. So my mom and my aunt were over there with her. And the rest of my family lives in different places. So like only I could be there, with my great aunt, who is his daughter. And so I had to call on the phone each member of my family, tell them what's going on, tell them, hey, he can't talk back to you or reply or anything, but he can hear you. So I'm going to put you on speaker so you can say goodbye. And I had to listen to everyone's goodbyes. And it's hard saying goodbye to someone you love, someone that was your hero growing up, someone that's like this larger than life person. But hearing everyone else say goodbye to that person too breaks you so hard. And I can't even explain how it went. So that was my day, Monday and Tuesday morning. And I kind of just fell flat for those 2 days of the week. And then Wednesday came around, and I dusted myself off and said, all right, we gotta keep going, because that's what he would have done. 93 years old. Shout out Grandpa. But my day today has been good. Next up is, do you think Kamen Rider Buffa should have been the secondary rider or just the rival? from Kamen Rider Geats. I like Buffa where he was. I wish he would have got a final form in show. Like there's Jamashin, and I don't think that's good as I forgot what the other one's called. Oni Taijin, maybe I've just seen that name before, but I forgot what the other one's called. But whatever his V Cinema form is, that should have been his final form. It's perfect. It looks good. They obviously had it way ahead of time because we knew about it way ahead of time. So I think that should have been his final form. And I agree with him being, what is he, the fourth rider in Geats? I agree with him being that fourth rider, the rival rider, because I think the other three all have far more interesting stories going on. Next question is, please react to Tokusatsu Kawanan Wira's episode 1 on YouTube. I'll check it out. I think somebody asked me to take a look at this before. It's an indie tokusatsu. I'll check it out because this is the second time I've been asked. This is the second recommendation it's gotten. The next one is, do you know The Muffin Man? And the next one is, do you know the word of the bird? Word is the bird. I think it's bird is the word at the end. So I think I know it better than you do. If you wanted one anime or movie franchise to get a tokusatsu franchise, what would it be? And have you met High C? I've never met High C in person. I've messaged him before. He's very nice. And if I wanted one anime or movie franchise to get a tokusatsu franchise, I'm assuming you just mean like a live action version, which this is going to sound dumb, but I love Madoka Magica. Like I started watching it because I was like, oh, I want to go watch more things that the writer of Gaim made. So the first thing on that list when I looked it up was Madoka Magica. So I went and watched Madoka Magica and I watched Rebellion, and I instantly was like, this might be my favorite anime of all time. And I think it stood that test still today. I still go back and watch the fight scene from Rebellion between Homura and Mami because I think it's one of the sickest animated fight scenes I've ever seen. Something about like the bullets and time stop, I'm just like, this is amazing. I think Fate would probably be a cool live action franchise if you tried to adapt it. I'm trying to think of things that like don't take too much, if that makes sense. Like there's a reason they're animated because like anime is infinite. You can do anything. And live action, not quite the same. So Fate, Stay Night, Fate Zero, I think those would be cool as well as Madoka Magica. Next one says, dude, I'm glad to see you're back doing what you love to do. Rock on, cow, rock on. Thank you very much. I do enjoy making YouTube videos, which is why I do this. I like having the creative output. Speaking of, the next one says, Hawk, genuinely, your Twitch got taken down. Why are you trying to come back like nothing happened? And the answer is, I'm not trying to come back like nothing happened. I talked about it, and I'm going to talk about it here again, but I just really like being creative. I'm just a creative person. I have an outlet that needs to be, you know, this energy that needs to be put out in the world. I don't know how a better way to explain it. Like, it's just my creative outlet, and if people enjoy it, people enjoy it, and that means a lot to me. So there's the bigger questions that I've kind of been, you know, hinting at here and there. So let's get to those, the deeper questions, because now we're, what are we, like 20 minutes in? And I think the rest of them all have to do with the deeper questions and the break and everything. So here's the question. It says, is it true that you did a lot of inappropriate things in the past? And if yes, then what do you plan on doing now? So I assume if you're listening to this, then you're pretty deep in the lore and you've seen whatever you've seen, whether it be on Twitter or a YouTube comment or whatever. The story is, I was a independent professional wrestler. I at the time, this was 5 years ago, I was outed, so to speak, for cheating on my wife with fans. And there were some of those fans who I did not tell I was engaged. I was engaged at the time. She wasn't my wife. But there were fans that I didn't tell I was engaged. And when I say cheated, I mean text messaging. It was never anything physical. I text messaged people and didn't tell them, didn't divulge is the wrong word, but it's like, I'm trying to think of the word in that realm, and divulge that I had a significant other at the time. And that's what happened. There are also people saying that I sent unsolicited pictures, and there are 2 cases of that. One where I was talking to a sex worker online and purchasing pictures, and then sent one of mine in reply, and they said, "Hey, hold up, that's not how this goes." And I said, "Hey, I understand, my bad, I'm sorry, I did not realize that." And the second one was legitimately me replying to someone that sent me a inappropriate picture of them. So those are the 2 instances of that. And then, like I said, there were people that I messaged back and forth. I can say consensually, but I understand why that wouldn't be proper considering they didn't have all the information. But back and forth is like the best way I can put it. So those are the inappropriate things that I did that you may have heard on social media, wherever it is. And then what do I plan on doing now? I think this is a big misconception that I've seen, is that people are like, "Oh, he was outed right now," or the 3 months ago when we learned about it, that was the first anybody had learned about, and the first he'd ever, had any consequences. And it's just, that's not true. Like 5 years ago was when everybody found out. 5 years ago was when I really took a hit in terms of, professional reputation, monetarily, personal, with friendships and relationships. I think that's when all that happened. And every day since then, I've just been, trying to do better than I was. And 5 years go by and you're a different person. I think that's the best way to put it. You're just a different person 5 years later. So a lot of people, I know a lot of people were like, "Oh, it seems like he's downplaying it," because I did a Twitch stream about this right when it happened to address everything. And I said the exact same thing. And then of that 30-minute Twitch stream, the one part that people saw was me saying a general open, not to anyone in chat, not to anyone like directly, a general open, "Hey, if you talk about my daughter, I will, hunt you down," basically. It was a dumb thing to say on stream. Yes, I understand. I will do anything to protect my daughter. That is just a universal truth to me. But I understand why it was dumb to say on stream. I understand why at the time I thought I was like bringing some levity to the stream, because like I said, it was at the end of this 30 minutes, this deep, heavy 30 minutes where I talked about it all, where I kind of had this back and forth with chat of like, "Hey, let me bear it all for you." And I thought I was bringing this levity to stream that I obviously was not. But to have that be the one thing clipped and have that get my Twitch mass reported and the Twitch taken down because of that, it was stupid on my part. But I think I definitely let it get to me how many people were like coming at me from all sides. And I think a lot of it has to do with, I don't like people writing my story or thinking they know my story. And that goes into another question that's on here real quick. It says, some might say due to your misunderstanding recently that the creators that have parted ways with you may have done so without all of the information being present to them. How would you say that impacts the decision behind the quote friendships you'll make down the road? It was different this time. And when I say that, I mean like this same thing, the same 5 years ago thing gets brought up probably once a year in some sort of situation in my life. Whether it be wrestling, or this. And it's, I think when it came up in Tokusatsu and I had other creators or other people ask me about it, and I told them and I gave them the story, and then people waited until I had that stream where I had defended my daughter and that stuff got clipped on stream. People waited until that moment to post what essentially was like, I'm cutting ties with Achilles. Like everyone posted that. Even if before they had talked to me and had talked about like how they support me, they know I'm a changed person. You know, I've spent hours and hours online talking to these people. And I think at that point I was just like holding the door open for people with my head down, if that makes sense. Like I had gone through it so much. I've lost so many friends, the first couple times. And on the other side of that, so many friends have stuck around and held me accountable and like been very stern and know this stuff and know how it affects my life, and I can talk to them about it. But I think this coming around again, it was kind of just like, yeah, okay, I've been through this before, so go ahead and take your stuff and leave. Not like pushing them out, but just like, yep, I get it, go ahead, type of thing. And that was like 3 months ago when that all went down. I guess 4 months ago at this point when that all went down. And I felt like that for a really long time. The other side of this is, you said, how does that affect me making friendships in the future? I think it's funny that like a lot of people expect you to introduce yourself with the worst thing that's ever happened to you or the worst thing you've ever done. That's just not how it goes in real life at all, or on the internet. Like, what's the right word for this? I used to be very protective about it. I used to be very closed off about it, of like, well, as soon as someone finds out that I did this thing, no one's going to ever like me. And I've just been shown by people, like real people, that that's just not true. Especially people that know me and talk to me more and more. It was a thing at PMC last weekend where people that I have, like called family, people that I have that I've talked to since in the past 4 months, even just here and there checked in on, or they've checked in on me. People that have basically like didn't want the public perception of knowing me, but still wanted to make sure I'm okay. It was very weird to me going into PMC because I was like, oh, I'm going to see these people, but like, I don't know how we're going to react. I don't know how that relationship's going to be. And there are some people who like I shook their hand and I immediately realized like, oh, you want nothing to do with me. And that's okay. I understand that. And then there were other people who like didn't want to be seen with me, or only came up to me when no one was around, or waited till no one was around, or always in a hurry to get away from me while they were talking to me, even though that's not what they showed previously when we would talk. We'd talk since then. And it took until the end of the weekend when I was having a conversation with someone to realize that I have to value myself more than waiting around for these people, waiting around for anyone who's going to put public perception above a friendship like that. And so like and I'm not doing this, I'm not saying this to like shit talk anybody, because you know, I've really got no ground to stand on other than like, hey, I'm me and I have to keep living my life, and I have to be able to go out there and love with open arms and give grace to anyone and anywhere in any situation. And I'm wasting time and energy and thoughts and things I could be putting into, you know, either someone else or something else, if I'm just waiting around for people to decide they want to be seen with me in public. And that's when I realized at the end of Power Morphicon. Somebody asked a question, did I see people at Power Morphicon? I think. I thought I saw it in here. But going back to this one, the misunderstanding, creators may have parted ways with you without all the information being present to them. I think a lot of people that I talk to on the regular hit me up and asked what the situation was, and I told them, and they, you know, they did what they were going to do with it, whatever it be, you know, either leave or stay. So I don't know if too many people didn't have all the information. I do know there's a lot of misinformation going around. I've checked a couple times on the internet, and there's people going around, like people will come into my YouTube comments and be like, oh, you abused your wife, you know, hit your wife and your kid needs to be taken away, or you are a molester and a rapist. And it's like, none of that stuff happened. And it's crazy how prevalent I'm seeing that like narrative be pushed. So someone out there is pushing that. It's wrong, it's false, and it's crazy how many people will believe it, because that's not even what's in the original tweet thread about it. If you go look it up, other than that original tweet thread, I think a lot of the tweets talking about it literally have no clue and weren't a part of the situation at all. Even that original tweet thread has like lies seeded in there. And I apologized to this person back when it happened, and they asked me never to interact with them again. And I've respected that for the past 5 years. It was just this last time that they were still pushing the narrative of this stuff and saying that they were scared and everything, or that they were scared of ever, you know, me being in any fandom. And it's like, we never had a bad interaction until it was public knowledge that I had a significant other. Other than that, all our interactions were very like pleasant or whatever. There was no, she said I had rape fantasies. There was none of that. And like I said, the only reason I'm talking about it now is because, one, I like, after 5 years, I can't let this control my life anymore with the false information that's in there. But two, when this whole thing was going down on Toku Twitter, I saw her, you know, partying it up or whatever, like talking about it with the person that sexually assaulted me in wrestling, that they know sexually assaulted me in wrestling. So I don't know. I know I'm responsible for my own healing, and everyone's responsible for their own healing. And so I think I've let it go on long enough that for my healing, I have to make that clear. Like, I have to make clear that like some of these in this thread are lies. I'll be very open and upfront about what I did, but I'm not going to let the lies fly anymore about my own life. And so, you know, that is what it is. This is a question that says, this is something that I wanted to ask because I know Toku Twitter has been calling for a witch hunt / harassment campaign against you at PMC, but did anyone do anything like that to you? No, nobody did anything to me at PMC. I had a good time. A lot of people avoided me. You could tell, like, a lot of people that I knew personally avoided me, obviously. That's fine. They're going to do what they want to do. No, nobody that was posting, you know, axe sharpening gifs and saying they were going to come up to me or do anything, did anything. I'm, you know, Toku Twitter is peak slacktivism. Peak slacktivism. And no, like everyone that you saw that was like, I'll be in Pasadena, but I'm not going to Power Morphicon because I don't like what they do. Every single one of them was on the Power Morphicon floor. So yeah, nobody's going to do anything. Nobody's going to try anything. It's people stared, I guess. People stared at me a bunch. There's one dude who posted online that he like has cut all ties with me, but like I've never talked to that dude in my life or interacted with him. Like there were no ties, and he just stared the whole time. So no, nobody did anything to me at PMC. I had a good time. There was more. Which Toku content creators do you currently watch? None, for a couple reasons. One, just wasn't watching the shows that everyone talks about, like Boom Boonjer and Gotchard. So like part of it's not wanting to get spoiled on Boom Boonjer or Gotchard in case I ever go back and want to watch Gotchard, which I don't think is going to happen, but we'll see, you know. My daughter really likes Hopper 1, so if eventually she has to watch it, I'll be like, yeah, we'll put it on. But also I don't like taking inspiration from people in our niche. One, because that's never worked for me. I think the tokusatsu niche, content creation wise, is pretty uninspired with a lot of stuff that it does. So I look outside, and everything that I've taken from the outside and brought into the toku niche, I think has worked out pretty well, and has also tried to be emulated by others. And it seems to be working out pretty well for them too. So I haven't watched any Toku content creators in a while is the official answer on that. This one says, why is there so much Twitter drama? Have we really learned nothing from Toku and about friendship and teamwork? This is quite simply Twitter rewards negativity. I don't know. You can see it all around the app. It's just, and I'm not saying some of the hate that I get or whatever, the drama is unwarranted, because like I did stand firm on a lot of things. I did have a big mouth. I don't get people calling me like a misogynist or a like bigot. I've seen that a couple times, and it's like, dude, I'm the first person that posted a full ass video saying Rita is non-binary. They are they, them. And like, I don't know. I've seen a lot of bisexual erasure going on when it's like, I'm bisexual. The people I was texting were not just women, or was not just a girl. It was not just a boy. There was non-binaries, there's trans. Like, it's very, very odd to see what narratives people run with and then what people believe those narratives. But Twitter just rewards that. You can say anything you want and you'll get likes, retweets, quote tweets, as long as it's negative. And that sucks. Twitter used to be a genuinely dope place. I think that's all of them. Let me make sure. Please react. Do you think Buffa? Which Toku content creators do you watch? How was your day? Which favorite live stream on YouTube? When you coming back to play Digimon? Yeah, I think that's all of them. Going back to one specifically, the one that said, Hawk, genuinely, your Twitch got taken down. Why are you trying to come back like nothing happened? I didn't try to come back like nothing happened. I talked about it the minute it happened. And I think a lot of people, like, it was just hard having so much come at you from so many sides. And I needed to step back, refocus myself, remember what's good in life, remember what's good in my life, remember what's important in my life, and remember who I am in terms of like why I started this, what I like doing, who I'm talking to. Because the truth is, like, when I planned to do this Q&A, I was like, man, I'm gonna put it all on blast. I'm gonna throw it all out there. I'm gonna say it all. And like, if the most I've said that I can think of is that like I'm revealing to you guys that I was sexually assaulted in wrestling by this person named D, is like, that's I think that's the most I'm gonna throw out and expose, because like the rest of it doesn't matter to anyone but me. I could go on and on about what wrestling did to me, where it, you know, where all this, the whole story of it, but it's, at the end of the day, I did the things that I did, and I can't blame anybody. And if I were to tell you the whole story, I feel like some people would be like, oh, well, he's blaming this, or he's brushing it off, or he's, you know, doing this. But I don't think this is the time for it. I don't know. Maybe I'm just scared that like more of that will be twisted into more things that didn't happen, or more things that like people assuming my intentions and stuff. Cause I think that's the thing I hate the most, is like the narrative that people are drawing of just things that are not true. Yeah, I don't know. I just posted the Gavu thing today, and I just saw a lot of people online right now being like, oh, we hate him, he molested someone. And it's like, I did not do that. That was never the story. Go ahead and look at those original tweets. Like that never happened. And it's crazy that people could just say that and no one's going to check them on it, because, you know, everyone's too scared. There's no one in their right mind is going to go on Twitter and write, you know, I like Achilles. I enjoy Achilles. I don't think he did all this, or he did this and he's changed, or like, hey, that's not right. Maybe get your story straight before you like absolutely try to ruin someone's life like that. No one will do that. And Twitter doesn't reward that. Twitter rewards as negative as possible as you can be. But yeah, I don't want to end the podcast on such a sour note. I knew I was going to save all that stuff till the end. But I don't think I want to end it there. So what's next? What's next for the podcast, for the channel, for the streams, whatever you want to call it? Basically, I think I should probably start out with Toku Trash. The website is dead, basically. I guess you can still buy the merch there, but like I'm no longer using that for memberships. I have YouTube memberships open where you can get videos early. You get exclusive access to parts of the Discord. The Discord is also open, but there are channels that are behind the paywall. And you get the full version of these podcasts. I took them down from Toku Trash. I'll be putting them up for members only on the YouTube channel. And so if you're a member, you're going to get the full 2-hour conversations that I have with everyone. There's obviously not going to be a premium version of this one, because this will be just the full AMA of me talking, but you'll get all the other stuff. And maybe this podcast goes on, honestly. Maybe I find someone to talk to. Maybe I just talk to myself. Who knows? But the main reason why all this is going to keep going on is because I like being creative. I'm a creative person. I like talking to people. I like putting myself out there and showing the things I like to other people. And the I guess mission statement of this channel, of this brand, whatever you want to call it, has always been like, show more people tokusatsu. And I'm going to keep trying to do that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, you're not welcome to the tokusatsu community. But I think, I don't know, maybe that's a whole diatribe on like communities and fandoms and how they work. But I think that like, I just, I want to show people this thing, this genre that I love. I think talking about the things around it, like the people around it and stuff, is like the most boring way to approach it. And I just like talking about the shows and the content of it and stuff. So I'm going to keep making videos whenever I feel like it. It probably won't be as often as it used to be. I used to try to get a video out every week and be super on time and everything and do 2 streams a week. It won't be that at all. Like I said earlier in the podcast, streaming kind of out of the question in terms of like a set schedule and everything. But I'm going to keep making videos because I like doing it. I like doing it. I'm making that Ultraman video made me feel so good. Made me feel like it felt good to be creative again, and making every video since then has felt good to be creative again, to jump on Adobe Premiere and edit it down and sit here with the microphone in front of my face and talk about the stuff. So I'm going to keep doing that because that's what I know how to do. And that's what my passion is. I'm going to keep on living, trying to be better every single day, and keep on going with my passion because that's what I can do in 2024. It's not really something like disappearing from the internet isn't really an option. I can't stand being like anonymous on the internet, if that makes sense. Like I can never be like a anime profile picture person. It's just not me. Yeah. So that's the Toku Trash podcast. Thank you for everyone that asked questions. If you listen this far, thank you for hanging out. If you're just here to clip stuff, you know, you're going to do what you're going to do. And I'm going to do what I have to do and live how I have to live and do what I have to do. So if you've listened this far with an open mind and an open heart, I thank you. If not, you know, I hope you have a good day anyways. So I will catch you next time. Yeah.